I never could have imagined that my mother-in-law would keep a boy toy nearly the same age as my husband. And I never could have imagined that guy would almost cause me to miscarry all over a bowl of sour noodle soup. What shocked me even more was that my own husband wished I were dead. But what neither of them ever expected was that I would use her boy toy's knife to take down the husband who wanted me dead and land her little boyfriend straight in prison. A home that should have been warm and peaceful was now soaked in the smell of blood. The wail of the ambulance siren faded into the distance in the living room. Covered in wounds, her face smeared with blood, her clothes torn to shreds, she was screaming at the officers from the bottom of her lungs. That shrieking old woman was my mother-in-law, Patricia Wang. As for why she had ended up in such a wretched and pathetic state, why the police had suddenly shown up at my home and who exactly had been taken away in that ambulance, the answer was actually pretty simple. My mother-in-law had crept into my bedroom, gripping a deadly weapon in her hands, dead set on putting me in the ground. But what she never saw coming was that I had already moved out of that room. The one refusing to leave was her own flesh and blood son. That weapon loaded with pure hatred ended up driving straight into her very own son, so naturally the one taken away in the ambulance was her son. The bedsheet soaked through with blood said everything about how badly he wanted me dead, and how deep his hatred ran watching him half alive and out of his mind like that. I honestly couldn't tell whether to laugh or cry. Lisa, I'm going to kill you. You did this to my son, why won't you just die? My son, my own flesh and blood. He's all I have in this world. If something happens to him, I swear I'll make you pay with your life. What did I do to deserve this? Ever since you walked through that door I haven't had a single peaceful day. Every day feels like living in hell. She cursed me like her life depended on it. If the officers hadn't held her back it would have gone way beyond just running her mouth. That look on her face, pure evil, like she wanted to lunge at me right then and there, tear the skin off my body and drink my blood. Anyone else probably wouldn't be capable of something that unhinged, but she would. After all, the man she had poured her whole heart into loving was a devil through and through. If your son dies, the one who's got it coming isn't me. It's you. He'll come for you personally. Your little Danny won't be around much longer either. He loved you that much, didn't he think he might drag you along with him? To keep him company down below I grabbed her tight by the collar, leaned in close to her ear and said it low and slow, word by word. She crumpled to the ground instantly, but the very next second, she suddenly lunged and bit down on my arm hard, without any warning. Her teeth sank into my flesh like they were locked in. No matter how hard anyone pulled, they couldn't pry her off. She tore a chunk clean out of my arm by the time the officers finally dragged her away. Everyone around was staring in horror as they crowded in trying to tend to my wound. This man feels no pain whatsoever, he has no heart. The moment those words left my mouth he let out a laugh straight from hell, and was finally dragged away by the police. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. I really had lost my heart from the moment I found out that the person I trusted most, the husband I depended on most, had been secretly scheming behind my back, plotting to take my life. I became nothing more than an empty shell just going through the motions. When Jake and I were dating the first time I met his mom, she said she didn't want to eat out, claiming restaurants were too expensive and not clean enough, insisting she wanted to cook for us herself. But when we got to her place, what was sitting on the dinner table stopped me dead in my tracks. A pile of leftover pickled vegetables, a plate of cabbage burnt to a bitter crisp, and a few bowls of barely reheated leftover rice. Jake actually tried to smooth things over, saying that when his father was alive he had put his mom on a pedestal, never once made her lift a finger, so she had absolutely no idea how to cook. Even though the food was pretty rough, it was still her way of showing she cared, not wanting to embarrass Jake or let his mom feel bad. I swallowed my hurt feelings and smiled through the whole thing to save face for him. Afterward, Jake quietly took me out and we had a proper meal together. Back then I figured we weren't going to be living with her anyway. Sometimes you just let things slide to keep the peace, pick your battles and move on. I found out later those pickled vegetables were leftovers from days before, and even those bowls of rice were nothing but overnight leftovers, just reheated and served after that whole thing. I was honestly a little bothered on the inside, but Jake really did treat me well. Every morning he would pick up breakfast and bring it down to me. On rainy days he would tuck an umbrella into my bed.